Welcome back. Progressing through the Melbay complete mandolin method, and we're up to page 17. And he's introducing 3/4 time. So see in the box on page 17, 3/4 time, and it's got the time signature there. There's a 3 over a 4, and it means, well, he's saying here 3 beats per measure. 3 is the number on top, which how many beats are in the bar or the measure, and 4 is the type of note receiving 1 beat. So yeah, he's got quarter notes, but we call them crotchets. So we're saying there's in 3/4 time, there's 3 crotchets per bar. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it's commonly used, we describe it as a waltz. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And he goes on to say here, he mentions dotted half notes, or as we're going to call them, dotted minims. Remember the minim, hollow head with a line, 2-beat note. So if you put a dot after any note, it gets half of its value added to itself. Okay, so a bit of maths, but it's not too hard. So if you put a dot next to a minim, how many beats is a minim worth? Here you say 2, good. And half of 2 is 1, so that gets added to the note. So basically, a dotted minim becomes a 3-beat note, which is really handy because we don't actually have a note on its own that's worth 3 beats. So to get a note that lasts 1, 2, 3, we take a minim and put a dot next to it. And you'll just get used to seeing this. So if you have a look at the colonial waltz, it's got the first bar. So we've got a 3/4 time signature, telling us 3 crotchet beats in a bar. The first bar's got a minim and a crotchet. And, well, what do they add up to? A minim is 2, the crotchet is 1, so that adds up to 3, so that's good. The next bar, it's the same again, a minim and a crotchet. We know that adds up to 3. The next bar, the third bar, has got 3 crotchets. 1, 2, 3, great. And then we come across our dotted minim. And so it's a 2-beat note that's dotted, so it gets half of its value added to itself. So 2 plus half, 2 plus 1 is 3. And that's all that is. So you'll see other notes that are dotted, but I think for now in this book, the most we're going to see is dotted minims for a little while. And just know that they're worth 3 beats. So if I was to sort of clap out the first line of Colonial Waltz, I'll count us in. 1, 2, 3, and I get 3, 1, 2. Here's the crotchets. 1, here comes the minim. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Dotted minim is 3 beats. Okay, so if that hopefully that makes sense, and I've explained it clearly, and we've done it in our lesson together. If you want to ask me any questions, you can just send me a message. You can comment on the YouTube thing, or you can just send me a message. No problem. But I think you've got this. It's just dotted minims are worth 3 beats. This is what I like to do when we've got a new piece of music: is check out the time signature, check out the rhythms, and then we can actually figure out what the notes are. It's really tempting to just pick up your instrument and start figuring out what finger goes where. But if you take this step first of counting out the rhythm, your job is so much easier, because you know how the notes are meant to be placed in time. And that's really more than half the battle. Discussion for another time, but getting the rhythms right can be even more important than getting the right note. Controversial. Okay, so let's just have a look at it. I'm going to play it. Okay, I'm going to play it, and you can play along as many times as you like. You can just loop it, but or come back to it. But I'm going to play it, and I'm going to count out. I'm not going to count out note names because I think you've got this. And if you want to, you can write them in. But I'm just going to count. I'm going to count note values, right? Oh, look at the end. The very last bar, there's a repeat sign. That little, there's a bold double bar at the end. It's like a bold line at the very end, and the 2 dots. That means you're going to repeat. You're going to go back somewhere and play again. Now, quite often, if there's nothing else in the music, it means just go back straight to the start and go back to the start and play the whole thing again. If they want to loop a section, so look at the lines at the very bottom of the page. Well, there's no notes in there, but you've got the dots at the end. But look at the start. You've actually got the start double bar, the start double bar, the start repeat signs. So that would mean if there were notes in those 4 bars, you'd play those 4 bars again. So you don't necessarily always go to the start whenever there's a repeat. Sometimes it sends you somewhere else in the music. But in this case, there's no other repeat sign sort of that it's sending you back to. So you just assume you go back to the start and you're going to play the whole thing again. I'm going to play it once. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Next line. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. A, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1. Next line. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And that's when you would repeat. Okay, so you've got some strategies there for how to approach a new piece. You're going to look at the time signature. You're going to tap out the rhythm or count out the rhythm before you play it, so you sort of get an idea of what's happening at what point in time. You're going to go and write in any note names or fingerings, and then all those steps happen before you play a single note. And then it suddenly becomes much easier. And the other thing that we talked about before is doing it in little sections or chunking. It's really tempting to want to play something all the way through, especially the first time, because you want to get an idea of how it sounds. So, nothing wrong with that. Play all the way through, check it out, but then start working on section by section, bar by bar, or whatever little group of notes that makes sense to you. Because then, if you focus on the first little bit at a time, maybe you just spend a minute or two, you can start remembering actually how it goes. And then you're not always just playing it by sight. You're actually starting to learn it. Or it might be that, there's something that's just a little bit tricky that trips your fingers up. So you just isolate that little bit and just smooth that out. And then just a few notes before it coming into that tricky bit. Sort of practice the approach and then practice the departure. And then you've smoothed it out. And quite often I know that whenever I do that, the thing that was the tricky part becomes the easiest part. And then I've got to find other things that are tricky. So you're learning some good little strategies to get through new pieces. So well done. Keep going with it all, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.